Today's webinar, we're going to be talking about Skype for Business and how Skype for Business can improve communication and performance between your teams and within your organization. My name is Evan Doty. I'm a Microsoft Systems Architect with Dataprise, and I'll be leading this presentation. If you have any questions, please hold them to the end, or you can reply to our marketing team. They'll make sure to give me those questions. And we'll follow up with you afterwards, or you can put them in the chat window, which I've left open, and we'll go from there. Other than that, please save any and all questions to the end. So a quick overview of our agenda and what our agenda is going to be. We're going to talk about Skype for Business meetings, about PSTN conferencing, Skype meeting broadcast, voice, cloud PBX, Skype across devices, and then just kind of a quick overview of who Dataprise is and why we're talking to you today about Skype. I'd like to start by thanking Jillian Blackwell with Microsoft for helping set up this event and for helping sponsor this event. We really do appreciate our partnership with Microsoft and with Jillian in particular. So what is Skype for Business? At the heart of great teams is good communication and ubiquitous communication. Teams that communicate frequently are more efficient, they can respond faster, they plan better, and they help one another more effectively. They can respond to customers more quickly because they can pass that information along. They can challenge one another because they have those open lines of communication and dialogue. And those things together what makes a team strong and effective in their organization and in the marketplace. The core functionality behind Skype, and I think Microsoft's driving goal between improving the capabilities within Skype on an ongoing basis, is simply that, is to make sure that people can communicate within their teams, with their customers, within and without their organizations, across as many platforms and as easily as possible with as little friction as possible. The key takeaway, I think, from this presentation that I hope you'll understand by the end of this is that Skype for Business isn't, it's not a cloud PBX, it's not a phone system, it's not a meeting or a webinar solution. It's one platform that covers all of these different things. It's one central application to do all of this. Some of the capabilities that we're going to go over at a high level are going to include how Skype can address key business problems from other organizations, how it can meet the mobility needs of people who aren't, the traditional 9-to-5 sitting in an office chair workers, how it can reduce costs and overhead from third-party conferencing providers and from even having a PBX on premise and those various pieces, and then how it can also be agile and flexible and make it very easy to add new users to your organization and into this communications net that is built using Skype. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is Skype meetings. Meeting solutions, Microsoft's meeting solutions in particular, starting with OCS in the good old days and moving through Lync and into Skype for Business now, have been used to drive on-premise and remote meetings kind of across that whole lifespan. But there are new capabilities within Skype for Business that we're going to talk about, and two of them in particular I'm going to focus on today, the Skype meeting broadcast and PSTN conferencing. The first one is, what is PSTN conferencing? PSTN conferencing means that you can have a platform like Skype, you can have a web-based or a desktop-based client with the meeting piece of that residing in the cloud, and you can still have telephone numbers that people can dial into or that you can dial out to as well. So if you need to add one of your people who's on the road, who's moving around, and they need to join a meeting, and it's kind of an ad hoc. Oh man, I forgot to invite Tom. You can just click. Here we have a screenshot, and within the screenshot, you can see. Within the screenshot here, you can see the dial-out conferencing and how you can just add Tom to that meeting on the fly and ad hoc. PSTN Conferencing also provides that dial-in number, so if Tom was working from a place where his internet connectivity wasn't very good and he wasn't going to use the Skype for Business client, maybe he was in an airport and was going to be boarding a plane and couldn't have that out, Tom would be able to dial into a phone number and still participate fully in the meeting, along with everyone else who was using a Skype client or who was, using a browser-based connection for that. In the past, and why this is relevant, in the past, Skype required a third-party audio conferencing provider for those dial-in conferencings, and these providers typically charged a per minute cost for all participants. PSTN Conferencing through Skype for Business offers unlimited conferencing as part of the service, and there aren't any charges that are incurred for callers using a tolled number to dial in. So why is this particularly valuable? Just from that thing that I just said, cost savings versus a fixed minute cost from a audio conferencing provider versus having that be rolled into and part of the Skype licensing that you're already paying for within your Office 365 bundle. Dial-in conferencing allows you to add telephone access to meeting invitations, so attendees can join a meeting from any phone, as I said, landline, cell phone, etc., with a local number. And those numbers can be geographically assigned so that you can have, Tom is working from his home in Los Angeles, and so he's going to dial into a 310 phone number or a 909 phone number versus Evan is working out of the Washington, D.C. office, and so he's dialing into a 202 number. Geographically located area codes and phone numbers. And as I said, dial-out conferencing, which allows people to be brought into the meeting. How do these cost savings actually look? For a cost comparison for an organization of 10,000 seats, Skype meeting or PSTN conferencing through Skype for Business is typically less expensive than most of the conferencing competitors out there, even as a standalone license. So to use Cisco WebEx as an example, you can see that to provide 1,500 host licenses for a company with 10,000 employees, using Cisco's Premium 25 plan, which allows up to 25 participants per call, and is $39 a month for an annual plan, the overall licensing costs are about $58,500 per month, or about $700,000 a year. In addition to licensing using Cisco WebEx, you also have to pay for audio minutes. Assuming 10,000 employees that each spend an average of 100 minutes a week on audio conference calls at 2 cents a minute, and we're using some average market numbers here for this, audio costs run to about $80,000 a month, or $960,000 a year. So that total cost quickly becomes significant. If you look at instead customers using Office 365 E5, which includes the PSTN conferencing, that's a total savings of almost $1.7 million a year using this particular example. For customers using Office 365 E1 or E3, the Microsoft cost for PSTN conferencing is $4 per user per month, times that same number of users, 10,000 users, times 12 months is $480,000, which means a total savings of about $1.2 million a year to go from using Cisco WebEx to using PSTN conferencing within Skype for Business. And these pricing plans and these numbers can be found by going to the WebEx site or so forth. So let's talk a little bit about Skype meeting broadcast. Skype meeting broadcast, which is what we're actually using today, has the ability to broadcast to thousands of simultaneous meeting attendees who can join the meeting from any browser or device. In fact, this Skype for Business broadcast that we're on right now can have up to 10,000 simultaneous attendees. How is this different? Well, in the past, with Link or with OCS, there was a much smaller limit on the number of audience members within a conference like this. There was, and so Skype for Business has expanded upon that. So allowing your organization again to consolidate from using, Cisco WebEx for their meetings and for using a town hall software or town hall solution for your one-to-very-many meetings into just using Skype for Business, we can start talking about, once again, having some pretty significant savings, and we'll take a look at that on the next slide. Aside from the productivity gains that a meeting broadcast can provide, meeting broadcast, we'll use Cisco WebEx again because they're the major player in the marketplace that we'd like to talk to. Cisco WebEx allows for very large meetings of up to 3,000 attendees, and it's $479 per organizer per month for any one of those meetings of up to 3,000 attendees. So again, we'll use that fictional company of 10,000 people with 50 host licenses, the people that are going to be organizing these meetings, to ensure that individuals can run concurrent events, global department meetings, training sessions, etc., which is a cost of about $23,000, almost $24,000 a month, or about $287,000 a year. As you can see here. For the Microsoft customers who are using Skype for Business, either as we said on that E5 plan, but also with Skype meeting broadcast E1 or E3, those are all part of the license. It's not an additional cost for any of those. You can do these broadcast meetings of up to of 1 to 10,000 attendees without any issues. So looking at $287,000 a year versus $0 a year, you can start to see how there are some gains to be had from just a financial perspective of using Skype for Business for meetings. So we can talk a little bit about the value that comes with a complete meeting experience through Skype for Business. This slide shows the various pieces used to kind of maximize value from having Skype for Business. The further to the right you go, the more value there is. We can talk about IT value. I think that's better had in a different conversation, and I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you. Like I said before, reach out to marketing@dataprise.com. Or to myself, Evan Doty, edoty@dataprise.com, or our Microsoft team, msdesk@dataprise.com, and we can talk about the technical benefits. But for now, let's look at the business value. Web conferencing, as opposed to traveling, can reduce those travel and related expenses. And by using Skype for Business, which is a part of Office 365, you're using a single vendor instead of multiple vendors, and you're not having to travel. Adding in Skype meeting broadcast, at this point there are significant gains to be had from being able to reach the entire audience during a single meeting, up to 10,000 participants. And this uses the same, from a presenter standpoint, the screen that I'm seeing right now, I'm using my regular Skype for Business client that I would use to send an instant message to Tom in California or to Jillian at Microsoft, and we would have an IM conversation, and then, all right, guys, it's time for me to do this Skype for Business webinar. I need to drop off these conversations. I click the webinar link. It launches in the same client application. So from a presenter standpoint, it's very intuitive. It's very easy because it's something that I use on a daily basis already. I don't have to learn a whole new login procedure, a whole new, how do I handle participants? How do I invite people? Like, all of that is built into this experience that I'm already using on a daily basis. When combining that with the PSTN conferencing, the ability for me to set up an ad hoc meeting, Tom and I are talking on IM, and we turn that into a voice chat by clicking the call button at the bottom of Skype for Business. And we decide that we need to talk to Roger, who's also located in our Washington, D.C. office. I can click that call out button and I can dial Roger and bring him into the meeting with Tom and I, and now we're having a conversation about whatever it was, and it was easy, it was intuitive. Again, it's the same interface I'm already using. And then finally, and I'm not even really talking about the business benefits of it, the pricing benefits, we've already gone over, predictable pricing. You're not paying a per minute cost. It's a flat cost, so you know what your monthly cost is going to be every single month. Is December an especially busy month on the phone because you're trying to close out business for the end of the year? Are you going to see a spike in your phone usage? Right now, you may. If you're using Skype for Business and Skype for Business for Meetings, that's going to be a flat, predictable cost. And then again, vendor consolidation. So at the end of this, if you're using Skype for Business for everything, if you're using Skype for Business for your PSTN conferencing, your customer meetings and your internal meetings, and you're doing your town hall meetings and webinars using the Skype for Business platform, you have a single vendor. You have, as they say, a single throat to choke, lower total cost of ownership, lower training overheads, and it's a simpler, more efficient process. So now that we've kind of talked about meetings a little bit, I want to change gears and I want to talk about voice, the other half of the Skype platform, the Skype for Business platform. Using Skype for Business for voice, you have the ability to make, receive, and transfer business calls in the office, on your cell phone, to start a call on your cell phone, to get in the office and transfer that call to your desktop PC, and have that call continue. From a phone number ownership standpoint, there can be one phone number to rule them all, so to speak, for every user, because that same phone number can be used to reach them on their desk phone, at their house, on their cell phone, all the time. And the value of using Skype for Business for voice is being proven out in the market. Skype for Business is #1 in the market for new voice seats sold. Gartner, in fact, has labeled Microsoft and Skype for Business a leader in enterprise voice, which is that top right quadrant, the best quadrant to be in. And 79% of US enterprises are either currently deploying or planning to deploy Skype for Business, including telephony. 79% is a significant number. So how does it work? How does the cloud voice solution work? Well, to start with, a PBX, terminology from a phone box exchange, leading back to the good old days where there were operators sitting in front of a panel with plugs, and they would use the plugs to connect a wire between two phone numbers. These days it refers to your phone system, and generally speaking, a company's PBX phone system is implemented out of hardware that's on-premise. Cloud PBX combined with PSTN Calling is a phone system that sits in the cloud. It's in the Microsoft cloud infrastructure. It's tightly integrated with Office 365. They can make and receive and manage calls at work, home, cell phones, PC, desk phones, across the board there. And again, it's that easy, intuitive interface. This is different. This Skype for Business thing is different because, again, we're talking about putting your phone system in the cloud. You're not going to have any physical hardware on premise. The entire thing will sit in the cloud. Excuse me. So I guess the question then becomes, what's the value of this? I mean, why would I want to put my phone system in the cloud? My business runs on telephones. People need to be able to call me and reach me all the time, and I'm sure that's true of you as well. Simplifying management of the voice systems is one big reason to put that PBX in the cloud. You can reduce the reliance of having power and cooling and active lines to your building. As long as the Skype for Business cloud is running, it is possible to make and receive phone calls because you can simply connect to the client on your cell phone. You can connect to the web interface and use the web interface from a coffee shop or from a client on your laptop at a Starbucks, and you still have that full, rich user experience that you would have as if you were sitting at your desk. So it's a different way of thinking about that. Cloud PBX is a set of Skype for Business capabilities, really, that's delivered from Office 365, and it replaces that on-premise PBX system, as I've been saying. One of the other really key components, I guess, from a management standpoint, and I've had this conversation with a number of people recently, there's one phone vendor left who supports my old Nortel system. I want to put a phone system in place where I don't have to pay one person to manage that phone system, where it's something that's easy for people to do. How can I do that? What's a good solution for that? Well, Skype for Business Cloud PBX, there isn't a whole lot to manage. It's user management, it's assigning licenses, assigning phone numbers, and that's something that your current IT staff can handle for you. It's not something that you need to outsource to a third party or to someone else. Let's talk again about some of the cost savings in voice when we're doing this. And you can see here in kind of the charts sort of speak for themselves. Cloud PBX through Skype is about $29 per month less expensive than alternate solutions. And let's use that same fictional company again, 10,000 users. Competitors in this marketplace will cost about $2.6 million per year for PBX services. Cloud PBX with Office 365 E5 is $0. It's built into that license. So the additional cost for a phone system is $2.6 million per year. For those without E5, for the people who are on E1 or E3, and you want to get Skype for Business Cloud PBX, or even if you just want the Skype for Business Cloud PBX and you're not in the rest of Office 365, it's available at $8 per user per month as a standalone plan. So the annual cost for this organization is just under $1 million, which instead of being a $2.6 million save is about a $1.6 or $1.7 million save. Excuse me. And I can provide the references for where these numbers came from. All you have to do is let me know, and we can come and kind of help you do an analysis of what it is that you're currently spending on your phone system, and so what your individual savings would be if you were to move to Skype for Business Cloud PBX. So let's talk a little bit about PSTN Calling. PSTN Calling, well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the provisioning process and some of the benefits that we can do with this. So the cost savings by using Skype for Business Cloud PBX were pretty impressive. 10,000 user organization, $1.7 million, 2.7 if you're using E5 for the other pieces. But the amount of money that you can save with PSTN calling is also pretty impressive. Verizon and RingCentral both cost on average about $35 a month per user, which is about $4.2 million over the course of that year for 10,000 users. PSTN calling through Skype for Business is $12 a month per user, totaling about $1.4 million for those same 10,000 people. So we're looking at a $2.8 million savings using Skype for Business instead of using the RingCentral or Verizon for this. You can also see, like what's here on the slide. Over on the right-hand side is the provisioning screen when you provision new numbers and assign them to users. Like I was saying about your IT staff being able to provision and deploy users, it really is this simple. You can acquire new phone numbers. Once you've acquired a new phone number and you need to assign it to somebody, let's say that Roger is moving from Washington, D.C. to New York, and we want to change his 202 number to a 212 number. It's as easy, or even add a 212 number. It would be as easy as logging in and adding a phone number through our Office 365 administration portal. We add a 212 number to Roger, and now Roger has his 202 for Washington, D.C. that his existing customers know, and he has a 212 number for New York. Quick, efficient, easy. It's easy to port your existing phone numbers. If you want to move to Skype for Business Cloud PBX with PSTN calling, we can help you port your existing numbers that you may have on your local phone system. And we can meet the E911. We, Dataprise, can help you with this porting process. And the Microsoft Cloud solutions will allow you to meet the E911 and other legal obligations that you have to have as a business with a phone system. So just to take a look at the numbers I was giving you, this is what those numbers actually look like. It's a pretty significant savings. So we had that slide before talking about maximizing value from meetings. Let's talk about how we can do the same thing for voice. With Cloud PBX, your IT department has the benefit of managing your users and your phone system from a single place. It's the same place where they're managing their email services. It's the same place they're managing their SharePoint permissions. So it's intuitive. It doesn't take a lot of additional training to understand how that works. And you can onboard and offboard users very quickly. It's easy to provision new PSTN numbers and to assign them to people. And you don't have to have redundant systems. You don't have to have some middleware that will capture all of the phone numbers that you have in your global address list and bring them into your phone system. And vice versa, all the phone numbers that you may save into your phone system don't need to be ported back into your global address list. It's one tool. It's very easy to use. So in deploying Skype for Business, both the Cloud PBX, Cloud PSTN, we've been talking about a cloud-centric, cloud-first, mobile-first user-type solution. There are a couple of other options for deploying voice through Skype for Business that I want to cover here. Depending on your needs as an organization, we can set up Skype for Business either fully on-premise, fully online, or in a hybrid topology. This was designed so that in some use cases, the benefits of Skype for Business are desired, but it's not possible to have a fully cloud-based solution. So a hybrid solution is going to work better. One example that I recently worked with, an organization that has a number of secured facilities, and these secured facilities, everything has to run across copper phone lines to a phone system that's in the building. They have PA systems that also need to be wired in. They have a gate phone system, so somebody rolls up to the gate and pushes a button that needs to dial to somebody to answer. And those systems aren't Cloud PBX compatible right now. So by putting a PBX by putting a Skype for Business server on premise and having PSTN lines to the local phone provider come from that, we're able to answer those phone calls pretty efficiently. And then that Skype for Business server can be connected to the other part of their organization, which is in a corporate office park, which doesn't have those security restrictions and doesn't have the need for the copper infrastructure. And by building out that hybrid solution, they're able to see a single contact list of people who are in and not in, and so forth. So there are, as you can see on the slide, there are some different capabilities between the different solutions. On-premise, just to give you a little bit of background and how each of these are being targeted and how they're kind of being used in the market. On-premise is being used worldwide by customers right now. If a customer has high customization needs and add-ons, secured facilities, like I was saying, or highly secured facilities, government facilities, call centers, people who want advanced calling features like the ability to do skills-based routing or complicated time-based call routing solutions, or maybe an organization just has an existing PBX or an existing PSTN contract, and they just signed a year ago and are in a 5-year contract and can't step out of that. All of those are good reasons. All of those are good reasons to build an on-premise solution. A hybrid environment is best for organizations that have little or no customization needs. They need the typical calling features, information workers, knowledge workers. The organization is looking to move from CapEx to OpEx, or they want to finish depreciating all of their PSTN infrastructure and contracts, or they are depreciating in this year and they want to start moving to something else. A hybrid solution can be built so they can transition from that existing solution into Skype for Business Cloud PBX. For a fully online solution, is little or no customization needs, typical calling features, again, CapEx to OpEx, multiple cloud workloads deployed. If you're in Office 365 E5, if you're taking advantage of the security features that are built into that, the advanced threat protection, if you're taking advantage of the advanced legal hold capabilities in E5 as a law firm or something, medical practice, it makes sense to start taking advantage of Skype for Business Cloud PBX because you're already there. And at that point, as your PBX systems come up for renewal, as your PSTN contracts come up for renewal, that's when it makes the most sense just to make that jump into a fully online solution. Skype across devices. So we've talked about Skype for Business, and I've mentioned a little bit about how you can use it on your mobile device and how you can use it on your desk phone. But let's go a little more into detail about that. There are, for customers who are using Office on-premise, or if they're using Office 365, in the latest release of these applications and in the cloud-based applications, you'll start to see that there's some immediate direct integration using Skype for Business, which allows for joint authoring a document or a spreadsheet or a presentation. So within the document, you can click and start a chat window. From that chat window, you can start screen sharing. You can call them and add video. And it all starts from within that application. It all starts from within Word or Excel or PowerPoint. For mobile users, it's possible to connect, to dial in using those PBX dial-in phone numbers that I talked about before. It's also possible to connect using the Skype for Business applications. for Windows and iOS. Personally, I have Skype for Business running on my cell phone all the time, and I get a new message and my phone and my computer both light up, and it's whichever is more convenient where I start answering. And the experience for me and for the other person who also may be on a mobile device or maybe on their computer or maybe using a web client is exactly the same. They don't see any difference between how I respond. I don't see any difference between how they respond. And the last thing that I sort of haven't talked about, even though we've talked a lot about meetings, is meetings in conference rooms in larger spaces. And you've probably seen the Surface Hub that Microsoft has released, which has Skype for Business integrated. It has cameras that are integrated, multi-touch point. It's kind of an amazing piece of equipment. And that's a conference room piece of equipment that is Skype aware. So if you go into a meeting room and you connect to a Skype for Business meeting, at that point, it becomes just another Skype endpoint, albeit with some additional capabilities due to the hardware for your users to connect and for them to participate in Skype for Business meetings. Other business room systems from Logitech exist, and as a whole, it's a pretty remarkable set of capabilities. So, I just want to bring up one more time the cost savings, because I think this is something that's going to help draw some attention and maybe help people make that final decision. I've been hearing about Skype for Business. I'm interested. I want to talk some more about it, but gosh, I don't know if I want to spend the money on it right now. How much is it going to cost? How much is it going to save me? It's not insignificant. And your organization may not be 10,000 seats, but these numbers scale. So figure out how many seats your organization has, and you can take the same information that I've talked about, and you can start looking at what those costs are for your organization and what that looks like if you were to stop using those services and move to Skype for Business. The last thing I want to talk about is Dataprise. Now, I introduced myself at the beginning. I'm Evan Doty. I'm a Microsoft Systems Architect at Dataprise. Who is Dataprise? Why are we giving this presentation? And why have you so kindly given some time to talk to us? Dataprise is a managed services provider. We have about 300 employees. Founded in '95. We're privately held. You can see where our core territory is. It's that green section. But Dataprise also has presence and reach nationwide. We used to say we're in the NFL cities, but then St. Louis lost their team and LA picked up a team. So in major cities nationwide, we do work with Microsoft and with Dell Solutions. We do managed services nationwide, enterprise level information technology management. And we've been in all of this for 20 years plus now. Our goal is to be a one-stop shop for you. If you call in and you have a question about Skype for Business, and we end up talking about server racks and wireless deployments, that's fine. We have those capabilities in-house. We're happy to talk about them. So that's pretty much Dataprise in a nutshell. I appreciate your taking the time to dial into our webinar to listen to me talk about Skype for Business. I hope that you recognize some of the benefits that can be had from having a single unified platform for voice and for meetings. So we're not talking about a meeting solution anymore. We're not talking about a voice solution anymore. We're talking about a combined platform for all of your voice and all of your meeting needs, and how we can accomplish that. Dataprise, as I said, is happy to have further conversations. Please don't hesitate to reach out to our Microsoft team, as I said, at msdesk@dataprise.com. You can reach out to me directly, edoty@dataprise.com, marketing@dataprise.com. All of those will get to the same group of people. And I would also like to thank Jillian one more time and Microsoft for helping sponsor this event. We'll be sending out follow-up emails to everybody who's attended. And if you have any further questions, or if you'd like to talk about how Skype for Business can work in your particular organization, please feel free to reply, and we'll reach out very quickly and set up some follow-up conversations. Again, thank you. I finished a little early. I guess I talked faster than I thought. So I'll give you a few minutes of your afternoon back, and have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend.